Welcome to the Grappling Rewind podcast.
Welcome to the special edition on location here at Atlantic City, New Jersey, ADCC East Coast Trials, North American Trials 2023, day one recap. As always with these not live, but day of shows that we're doing, we are doing a recap of the event that we have been at all day. The event is fantastic. ADCC Trials is great. This is one of the best trials we've ever seen. We've been to a couple of them. We're going to give our thoughts on the day's event. We're going to give some information about who we know is moving on, some matchups we're excited about for tomorrow, and just generally sort of give you some insight in what we saw this evening or this day. But we haven't had a chance to watch all of the matches, so mostly this is a little bit off the cuff. If you're looking for kind of a more standard Grappling Rewind show of more analysis where we've kind of broken down the matches, this is not that show. This is us sort of just talking about the event, having a good time, and then talking about what we're excited to see tomorrow, and then some matches today that we did get a chance to see, talk about like the fun moments we enjoyed today. So as always on these special edition shows, it's me and my co-host,
Miranda.
How you doing, Miranda?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. I want to get that caveat out of the way because sometimes people don't. They come into these live event shows and they go, oh, this is not the normal show. It's like, yep, we have not had all the time to plan and prep. We're doing these after in the hotel room day of.
And we've also coached all day.
You won your open yesterday.
Yes, I did.
And then we coached some other folks that won their open.
Yeah.
And then you also went and did trials today.
I did.
And we coached a bunch of other folks at trials. So it's been a busy couple of days for the Grappling Rewind team.
Should I tell my funny story?
Let's lead off with it. So Miranda, you were in under 65 kilos. This is the first U.S. trials. Or the first North American, when I say U.S. trials, what I mean is the first North American trials. They just happen to be in the U.S., so I a lot of times refer to them as the U.S. trials.
Yeah.
If I say U.S. trials, that's what I mean. So this is the first U.S. trials that has the three women's weight classes, under 55 kilos, under 65 kilos, and plus 65 kilos. Previously, the last U.S. trials, it was just over 60 kilos and under 60 kilos.
Yes.
So you are now in that new middleweight class.
I was.
Under 65 kilos.
And I went against a Jenna Deathridge. I think Deathridge, I think is how you pronounce her name. Yeah, and she's an MMA fighter out of Arkansas. Yeah. It did not go my way.
It did not go your way.
But I didn't get hurt. It was a fun match. But then I went in and watched her go against, because my second match would have been against Trinity Pun,
who is a absolute world.
And
I think Trinity Pun's world ranked right now, right?
Yeah, she is. And I watched her flying armbar this girl and do horrible things to her shoulder. And I thought to myself, well, Miranda, at least that didn't happen to you.
Because you have a really grindy style, and you went.
I was like,
that would have hurt me a lot.
I was like, that would have sucked a lot, because I also don't like tapping to arm bars. I have a history of not tapping to arm bars.
We've talked about it on the show a couple of times, like in the outro usually.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't like tapping to them. So yeah, it would have been a bad day.
Trinity Pun. So if you haven't watched Trinity Pun's match, the second match in Trinity Pun's bracket, she hits a
Well, no, it was her first, because she had a bye.
She did have a bye. So
she had a bye.
The first day of trials was a little odd. Especially in the divisions that have less registrants. A lot of people, if their names we've talked about on the show or they're high ranking, they have a bye. They don't, because they've either done an ACC or they've done trials or they've placed, like they seeded them in preferable seeding, obviously because they are well ranked. And so a lot of the big name folks had one last match today, or even some of the bigger guys we'll talk about didn't have matches today. They moved directly on.
Some of the ladies in plus 65, like Brittany had a bye today.
Brittany had a bye. Amanda Levy had a bye.
Yeah.
Who else had a bye? A number of people had byes, and so I was looking for them. I thought I had missed their matches, and we did the pre-show when we came to the hotel room, and then you pulled the brackets up and you went, oh no, they had a bye today. Because we didn't get brackets until after weigh-ins, and we were busy last night kind of doing open stuff.
And then it also became chaos, because this morning we got brackets almost right before the actual tournament began. Yeah.
So basically everyone's waking up in the morning and then looking like, okay, who am I fighting tomorrow morning at trials? And that's sort of how it's run. I've been at the events all day doing photos, some interview work, and we are looking at the brackets this evening going, oh, that's why I didn't see this person. But a lot of folks were at the event. Like almost literally ran into Big Dan. He was dressed and looked like he was ready to go.
Did you run into his chest?
Chest is a little high. I mid hip almost. Man, I don't think I've ever actually stood that close to him. so this whole weekend, we have a lot of folks that don't go to a lot of international events or a lot of big events. And I've heard a bunch of people go, man, he's a lot bigger, a lot smaller. Like, it is very funny with just people, the famous ones that people see on the television or internet a lot. When you see them in person, a lot of people aren't used to their actual size.
Yeah.
Every single person that I've heard talk about, like, peripherally throughout the event, talk about Big Dan, he's like, man, I thought he was big. He is even bigger than I thought in person. I've seen him at a couple of the opens and stuff.
But I didn't actually stand beside him.
Yeah, I almost ran into him.
It's kind of like Wardzinski.
Yes.
Adam Wardzinski is huge.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize that.
You kind of forget, yeah.
And then I see him, and I'm like, holy shit.
He's a big dude. But so Big Dan had a bye. John Hansen had a bye. Dan Ramos had a bye. Pat Changoli had a bye. Like, a lot of the guys in the over 99 kilogram division, because again, it is a less entered registered division, got byes because they're top seeded. They're former winners.
Some of the lower or the larger divisions had byes too, but because there were so many people in the division, they still went today.
Yeah, so a lot of men's 66, and a couple guys in men's 77 had byes, but they still had 2 or 3 matches today, even with a bye. Like, I think Jacob Couch had a bye in the first round, still had 2 matches today.
Yeah.
John Combs had a bye in the first round, still had, I think, 3 matches today because he's in 77. So it's like, because those divisions, the men's 77 kilogram division capped at 256, but not everyone made it or made weight. So when they bracketed after everyone weighed in, some people, the high-ranking guys like Combs that are former trials winners, had that bye going in, but still had multiple matches today. So it was fun. It was a very, very good day. Overall, my biggest takeaway for this trials, in contrast to last year's East Coast, or 2 years ago's East Coast trials, and then West Coast trials, is those 2 trials were absolute bloodbaths in the first 2 rounds, where you saw folks coming in that were not ready for the level of the people in those tournaments and got torpedoed by the people. This year, or this East Coast trials, I'm seeing a lot more folks that we really don't know about, or we haven't seen, or we haven't covered before, running into people of note and name, or people that we're familiar with that maybe aren't world ranked, or maybe haven't placed in world events, but we're still familiar with, or on the super fight scene, and giving those folks really tough matches. Like, overall, I think the entire community coming into this trials is way more competent. If you registered, you are much more prepared for this trials, which I think is probably part and due all the opens.
Yeah,
like,
I think
it is a rule set that is people are familiar with. Like, that is the biggest contrast that I've seen. Is like, we did not have the absolute bloodbath in the first 2 rounds, especially in 66 and 77, that we had. We definitely had blowouts, you know, for people that were not quite ready for the level at trials, but it wasn't like it was in almost the majority of matches those first 2 rounds here. So it's really good to see the level overall, like, coming up. We saw a lot of people that I wasn't familiar with having really tough matches and really close matches with world-ranked people who have done well in opens and done well in trials.
And the other thing is, when you're going against somebody who's world-ranked, there's a ton of video on them.
Yeah.
So they are coming in with a game, which, I mean, they're very good at because they're world-ranked, but they're also coming in with a shit ton of video.
Yeah.
That if you have a coach that's intelligent and you have a game plan, you can at least have an idea what's going to happen.
And a lot of times you kind of know who's in you got to know who's in the brackets. Like with the 66 and 77s, it's kind of hard because there's so many people.
There's so many.
And
it's
you
not
don't
like
get
there's
brackets
one
today
person.
of.
Yeah, and it's not like there's one person, you know.
But if you're a fan of jiu-jitsu and
you
you watch your weight class, and a lot of guys that are here at trials are fans of jiu-jitsu and watch the people in their weight class, there's a ton of tape on Charleston. There's a ton of tape on like DeAndre. There's a ton of tape on guys that you see, like Keith Krikorian. You see these guys in Krikorian, and all of those guys have to come in looking at a completely new, unranked guy in front of them and like, okay, well, I don't know what this guy brings to the table, but I have to go and beat him. Krikorian takes 2 very fast subs in his bracket in the first 2 matches that he had.
He's going to be the first. I'm looking at it right now. He's going to be the very first match tomorrow.
I gotta get up super early to watch that.
He's 1-0-0-1, which is.
Oh, he is match 1 of the day.
He is match 1 of the day.
They ran this tournament a little different than they've run the past trials, and I really liked it.
They run it like a wrestling tournament.
Yeah, I like that.
When your matches are done, they just put the next match on the next mat that's available, and
the division
no, not when you're as your division goes. Let's
Yeah.
say it that way. They're not like keeping 66 at certain mats. They're literally just running it through all the mats.
So
at one
the
time.
day started basically, and that the 66 guys are going first.
Yeah.
And so they've completely finished the men's 66 kilogram division.
Yeah, so your
and
first,
then moved on to 77.
Yeah, so your first match might be on mat 1, your second match might be on mat 4.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be jumping around, but it means that
everything runs quickly.
Yeah,
and
there's no open mat time where they're just standing around.
I also love that because no one's in multiple divisions at trials. When guys are finished for the day, like men's 66 kilogram was done by like 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was done and then those guys had the rest of the day that are going to day 2 to do whatever they were going to do. And the people like in a lot of times the men's 99 kilogram that went at the end of the day and all the women's divisions that went at the end of the day, they had until 3 or 4 in the afternoon or maybe like 3 in the afternoon to kind of do whatever they wanted to do. And then they needed to be at the event, closer to their bracket time, but they didn't have to sit since 6 a.m. at the venue and wait for their matches to come up because they were going to go once all the other divisions went. And then, so I just think it was a nice way to respect the competitors' time.
Yeah, and it was also set up really well because it was set up like your typical jiu-jitsu tournament where you could sit mat side, you could be in chairs,
Yeah,
you could be wherever you wanted to be.
Yeah, I had media credentials. I have media credentials for this event. I got a little media vest. Super cool.
Yeah.
But I am intermixed with a bunch of people with cameras that don't have media vests, and it's awesome because I have the same access that these folks have, and like there are plenty of better photographers than me at the event, and there's so much cool media coming out. There's no barriers that stop people from getting close to the mat. And generally the community is. Literally today, I didn't see any issues with people who weren't supposed to be on the mat.
Oh no!
Everyone got it. Everyone got what was going on. It was super cool to see that limited
I did see one person get on the mat, but just one person.
On a whole day event though. But it was really cool to see that ADCC has that understanding and respect in the community to know like, hey, we're here to do a thing, but also a bunch of fans are mat side. If you want to be a fan and you want to sit right on mat 1 on the edge all day,
you just got to know that they're coming at you.
You got to know you're in the splash zone. We had a couple of splash. So if you don't know ADCC, and at this point I would hope you know, but if you don't, ADCC doesn't have boundaries.
If you're functionally in something, you can't just be like going out of bounds for no reason.
Yeah, but if you are driving for a takedown or your submission, or there's a reason that you're doing something and you're in the motion of doing something that can't be stopped, and the mat happens to end, ADCC's like, nah, man, you continue to finish that until you're at a stopping point.
If you watch the highlight on Flo's Instagram,
highlight of the weekend so far.
Of Krellenstein.
Oh, okay.
You can see me because I'm right on the sidelines.
Well,
and I'm like basically doing like the Spidey sense thing of like making sure they're not coming near me.
Yeah, because ADCC expects you as a fan if you're that close. If you want to be mat side, expect that you will need to move. You need to be watching the mat. And you need to be so it's a hockey game thing where it's like you're expected if you're goal side. Before they used to put up the nets nowadays, but before you were expected to be looking out for incoming pucks so that you could not get hit with a puck. The same thing with ADCC. When you are in the splash zone, edge of the mat, they expect you to be not in your phone, but looking at the mat because you will be expected to move, and you will be expected to move chairs and tables and whatever else it is.
And it could be your mat. It could be the mat beside your mat.
It could be the mat beside the mat beside your mat. If there's no barrier, like ADCC will let it run until the position is stable, and it's really cool to see like them not need barriers to push people out and keep them away.
I didn't realize how much I enjoyed that rule until yesterday.
The off the mat rule?
The there are no boundaries rule. Well, for running takedowns. Because people in IBJJF, they stand you up no matter what happens. They stand you up. And that was something that's like drove me absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. And like,
because you finished your takedown in the open off to the side into the next mat, I think.
Into the next mat. Yeah.
And you were allowed to, and
they kept me.
And ADCC went, there's space for you to work,
which was great because like I fucking started it on the mat. Like there's no reason.
And you happened to finish a drive and turn, beautiful takedown by the way, and get your points.
Well, not that one, the other one, but.
Both
both of them did go off.
You had good takedowns. I was very proud of your takedowns
for once in my
at
life,
the Open.
I got some good.
But again, that rule allowed you to score those. In other organizations, you wouldn't be able to score those.
Keep your position because you don't realize how much that sucks until you get a really pretty takedown and then they freaking take it away from you.
Yeah, ADC's like, now you earned it.
Yeah,
go for it. And they will move whatever they need to out of the way. We saw a couple of matches. Generally, ADCC prefers that you don't run into the ref table.
Yeah.
Because that has to set up. So I think it was Kyle Chambers and I forget who Kyle was facing, but they like torpedoed into the refs table, and they had to wait for probably almost like 10 minutes while they like reset up because they knocked out Smooth Comp and everything. They had to wait till everything got reset up.
They knock out the table and the TVs.
But again, the guys were working towards something. Another highlight moment. Action off the mat is I'm not sure which Cody Steele match it was. It might have been his first match of the day. So I talked to Cody Steele a little bit. Cody Steele hit a full highlight reel knockout in his fourth
knockout suplex. Oh, you mean
in his MMA fight last week. And so he didn't know if he was going to do trials. He knocks this guy out. Beautiful, like flying knee KO off into the cage. And then he's like, I'll do trials. Comes and does trials. And if you've ever watched Cody Steele is one of my favorite guys to watch at trials because he has such a great like style for it because he is so active and he has big throws and big slams and he's on one of the corner mats, which maybe not put Cody Steele on the corner mat, and he lifts this guy.
They do that purposely.
Hey, I love to see it. And the crowd parted as Cody lifted his opponent, like full on 5-point suplex over off the edge. They roll off the edge of the mat and Cody's looking for the back. His opponent puts the guard. Cody gets to the back and then they roll like a pretty substantial distance into the carpeted area, and Cody gets a rear naked choke. But it's like, yeah, man, this is ADCC, and so there's the official footage is of the carpet of them. It's like, that's how the submission finished because this is inbounds at ADCC. Like that's a totally legal. This isn't a weird scenario where it went off the mat. No, this is expected. What is going to happen occasionally at ADCC, the edge of the mat cannot save you. And at trials, it is awesome to see that because the community also understands, like, if you are mat side, get ready to get out of the way. And a couple of times at the beginning of the day, it's people don't quite realize. And then the refs do a really good job, and the table does a really good job of, like, ripping chairs and, like, telling to move, saying to move, and getting guys out of the way.
They didn't really have chairs this time.
They had a coach's chair and used sometimes a secondary chair, too.
Yeah, but they didn't have, like, a bunch of chairs. Like, at the East Coast, we had chairs.
At Showboat 2 years ago for East Coast Trials for 2022 World Championships, there were chairs a little closer to the mat, and there was a bunch of chairs that had to get thrown away, thrown out of the way occasionally. This one was set up so that there was a little more carpeted area on the edge of the mats that folks could work into. But overall, those are my kind of biggest takeaways.
There was 8 mats this time around instead of 4.
Were there only 4 mats?
There were only 4 mats because remember they made the coach go on the other side, and you had to.
Like
it wasn't your ref or your judges table was on one side, and your ref was your
coaches were on the other side.
Coaches were on the other side. West Coast they had 8 mats.
Yes,
but
so
East Coast,
this looks like West Coast looked last year.
Yes,
it's awesome. I think the event. We finished a full day. 2 days essentially in that room, and I'm excited to finish this podcast, edit it, go to sleep, and then do it again tomorrow. Like that's awesome. There's very, very few events that give me amped to sit in a room for 12 hours and then 3 days in a row, essentially. So it was great. We're having a great time here. If you get a chance to go to a trials, definitely go to them.
It's definitely
they're
worth
phenomenal.
It's worth the $20 or $30. I think it's $30.
It's 25. It's 25 for the 1 day. It's 40 for the 2 day. Was what it was online. If you're a first spectator,
I was told it was like 20 for the day, 30 for the weekend.
Something
but I could be completely
wrong.
But
it's something around that ballpark, and you get to watch all of these world level competitors all day compete, and it's been awesome. And the level of access you get, you're bumping into guys, and it's great.
That's what I mean. And you can be standing there and like turn over, and there's just somebody standing beside you, and you're like, hey, that
I mean, a bunch of the champions are there. I think Giancarlo's there supporting his guys.
Yes.
I talked to Joseph Chen.
Dante's there.
Gonna get an interview with him. Dante's there as well. Like a bunch of the guys that are in ADCC are there supporting other folks from their team.
Yeah.
And it's great. Nicky Rod's there. He's been walking around. I haven't seen Gordon. I don't think Gordon's there.
I got introduced to him right before my finals match, and it was the most awkward
interaction
ever.
You know a guy that knows him on like a personal level back from Jersey.
And I was like, hi, and he's like, hi, and it was just this awkward hi, and then I just like turned around and I was like, fuck.
I gotta go find my match now. So that's kind of my thoughts on the event. The event's great. I'm having just a blast here. It's absolutely worth going to New Jersey, which not for me, not many things are. But it's great. I love that it's close for us, about a 2.5 hour drive for me from the Baltimore area. So it's great. Any other thoughts on the event before you want to move into at least matches that we saw and who's left and matchups we're excited for tomorrow.
Nope, that is about it.
Awesome. So my computer just went to sleep. I'm gonna go jiggle that. You fill time.
Okay,
while
men's 66. This bracket, I saw some of it, but not all of it. I sat like near mat 1. And I was watching some of these matches. I saw like Ethan Krellestein. I saw a couple of his matches. And
I missed a little bit of 66 in the morning. I caught I think the last round and a half of some of the guys.
Okay.
So I missed a bunch of the big upsets, but I didn't see.
I don't think there were any big upsets of any of these divisions, really. Like, as I go through, like, there's no one that lost that I was like, oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, in the lower weight classes, there's nobody I can think of that is not here. So Ethan Krellestein moves on.
Yeah.
He was 1 or 2. He was one of the top 4 seeds.
Yeah.
In the bracket, he moves on. He's gonna have a really fun match. He's always has really fun matches. Dude looks absolutely cut and in shape for the weekend.
Yeah, and so he's still going.
John Calistein's still in.
Yep.
As well.
Cameron Mullet.
We always mess up Cameron's name. He moves on.
Yeah.
Let's see. So potentially, if
Gianni Grippo is still going.
Potentially,
we could get Gianni Grippo versus Oliveras.
Dorian?
Yeah.
That would be exciting. So
if
Ethan is on the same side of the bracket as John Calistine. So potentially in 3 matches in the quarterfinals, we could get John Calistine versus Ethan Krellestein. That would be exciting.
If Grippo wins and Oliveras win, they're the
next match. So Johnny Grippo and Dorian Oliveras, who's that stud at a B team. Now, Oliveras has to get through Saram Bertram, who is that correctly?
Fight Sports, yeah.
Yeah, from Fight Sports. He's a tough dude, but Dorian has been super impressive to me.
The thing that you would have only noticed if you were actually at the event
or
saw the event is watching Hosha our coach everybody with a cup.
Yeah, Wagner Hosha had a
like a styrofoam cup,
a chicken cup. They had like a chicken on it.
Was it a chicken cup?
I thought I had a little yellow chicken on it, and he had busted out the bottom of it, and was using it as like a little megaphone.
Yeah, it was.
And it was
hilarious.
Very funny.
I was trying to get a picture of it, and then then his guy won. Like,
I might have a picture because I realized this because I was directly next to the coach's chair, and then he came and sat down, so I had the lens on that I couldn't do it, and I didn't want to get. The lens I have is about 1.5 feet long. I didn't want to get right in Wagner's face while he was in the middle of coaching, so I don't think I have any good photos of it. But he's using a little megaphone. Like, it was, again, cool to see a guy that is at the level out supporting his team and coaching his guys, coaching both of his children. Like, it's cool. But yeah, Grippo and Oliveras at 66 is going to be a barn burner. That should be really fun. That'll be a really interesting match for Dorian, because Grippo is so credentialed in Nogi, and Dorian has all of this wrestling experience, but he's still, 16 or 17 at a B team? He's, again, youngest combat jiu-jitsu champion ever. Super excited to see that. I think we're going to see that matchup. Who else is?
So tomorrow, the 15th match is Gavin Corbet versus Braithwaite or Braith.
Yeah, by the way, also, we're looking at Flow Arena here, which doesn't have the first names, only has the last names.
And some of these people, and we've also been...
It's also been 2 days of jiu-jitsu. So, again, I gave the caveat at the beginning of the episode. It is a live show.
Yeah.
We do not have all of our resources. Normally, we are sitting in a hotel room in New Jersey.
So, in 2 matches, if Gavin and if both Corbets win, they have to go against each other in 2 matches.
Yeah, so that'll be quarters, right?
Yeah.
In the quarters. So that's about what they met last time. I think West Coast Trials, this almost happened for both of them.
Do they go against each other, or are they like?
They didn't. I forgot who got knocked out, but they almost. I think they were within 1 match.
But they do actually go against each other. They're not like.
No, you have to in ADCC.
Oh yeah. True.
Yeah, ADCC doesn't let you.
You can't do the.
Nope, there's no closeouts. We saw Cody Steele versus Tackett, didn't we, at East Coast?
Yeah.
Interesting is we have Sean Weisenberg and Keith Krikorian going against each other potentially in 3 matches in the quarterfinals. I think they had matched against each other at Shugio. The Shugio Invitational a couple of years ago, that no time limit thing. I don't remember how it shook out, but you could probably go find like an 1.5-hour match between those 2 guys at Shugio. It might have been, I think for some reason this match was the super long one. One of the super long ones that they had. But it'll be interesting to see, a couple of years later, Krikorian and Sean Weisenberg go against each other in the quarterfinals if they both make it that far. But Krikorian, I think, on the day has 2 subs. He had a bye, obviously, because he was very highly ranked.
And then his first match was against a guy that I've actually reffed at a bunch of matches, which was kind of interesting. It was a Vanguard guy.
Okay.
But it was a lower belt Vanguard guy, but who's really good at legs.
Krikorian has, on the day, under 1:45 of match time between 2 matches.
Yeah.
So he has subbed his way very quickly.
I don't think Grippo was on the mat much either. I think Grippo.
No, I think both of his were also quite quick as well. Yeah. No, his first match was a little
1:14.
He had Plasek the first match.
Oh, okay.
John Plasek. So his 5 minutes and 26 seconds he subbed him, and the second match was 1:14.
Oh, okay.
But again, these guys all get a full night's rest coming back in to the following day. I'm trying to see who else on the other side of the bracket. Fabian Ramirez also makes it on. He is in the top end of the bracket. He is also in Krikorian's bracket, so potentially we're going to see them at quarterfinals.
I saw some of his matches.
They can go there. I didn't see any of Fabian's matches, unfortunately.
I did, and I still know him from his hat.
Yep.
Like he wears the
sailor hat. He's super recognizable. Like that is a dude that knows branding.
Yeah.
Like really well. He is easy to find. So really no big upsets that I can come across in 66. Again, I did miss a bit of the 66 in the morning, but the tomorrow will be the big day where you're gonna have guys that have won trials before losing trials, and that's always
because
they're
really
gonna start
having champions versus champions at that point.
And I think the bracketing for this event is some of the best I've ever seen. Like we really haven't had a lot of top level guys against each other yet because they're on opposite sides, and that's where they should be for an event of this stake. So
and even in like 77 where there's a ton of them, we still didn't have a lot of them going. We didn't really have any of them going against each other. No. They all had at least somebody for day one.
So let's move on to 77 then. Men's under 77 kilos. We have Nicky Ryan starting off the day. 2 quick subs. First one in 1:22. Second one in 1:59. He looks good. He looked really smooth. I saw one of his matches that he finished. I think I saw his second match. They were both really quick, so I'm not exactly sure which one I saw. And again, I'm looking at Flow Arena, which just has N Ryan and then the amount of time in the sub. His game reminds me of his brother's, where it's just very smooth, very he is just a step ahead. Nothing in the match I saw where he got the back and got the choke looked forced. I was extremely impressed. But again, he shows up for trials and he wins trials. I think the last trials he did was the West Coast one. Yeah. 2 ADCCs or for ADCC 2019.
Yeah,
right?
A while ago.
He looked amazing in that. He subs through everyone. And then he subs at the finals. He looks the same. And every guy that I've heard talk about Nicky Ryan, either that has dropped into B team or a lot of the B team guys there, and a lot of the guys that are they're supporting B team guys, is not, on the team, but they're supporting B team, have talked about how good his cardio is and how amazing his technique is, and they can't see anyone beating him. And apparently he is such a world beater in the gym, and he has put it together in a way that he hasn't put it together in this camp.
We just have to keep him in one piece.
We just have to keep him in one piece. Other big names in
Cody Steele.
Dude, go back and watch. If you've listened to the show, you have seen his highlight. We've talked about it already. Go back and watch that. It is such a good representation of A, Cody Steele's game, but B, ADCC in general, where it's renegade chokes on the carpet. We're good for it.
Yeah. So I'm going through the finals matches for tomorrow.
Caleb Tackett got knocked out.
Oh, okay.
By somebody gave me the gentleman's name earlier. De Leonardis.
Okay.
Leonardis. I'm blanking on his first name, but he got knocked out by a sub. And so we were kind of curious with Andrew Tackett out with back injury, how far Caleb was going to go. We've seen good things from Caleb, and Caleb looks like he's not. I don't think he's 18. I think he's still 15 or 17, somewhere around that area. I should have asked. But it's interesting to see him come out first day. But again, he does move through his first match by a 43-second sub.
We have John Combs and Sergio Ardilla going against each other tomorrow.
Ooh, so I watched actually a lot of Sergio's matches. I think I watched every single one of Sergio's matches. He had a couple go late.
He's the younger brother, correct, of Ardilla that is the 99 champion.
Oh, is he really? Are they related?
I think they are. They're both last name Ardilla. I think they're brothers.
That wouldn't surprise me. I should know that.
I because don't they do that fight thing that Nicky Rod did? Remember Nicky Rod went against some random gentleman,
Oh.
and they were both did it. So I think they're both out of
Okay.
like,
Because the
Atlanta.
Rose brothers on there as well.
Yeah, I think they're brothers, but I'm not.
Okay.
I could be wrong with that, but they have the same last name. They're both from the same area.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway.
yeah, he looked good. That'll be a very fun matchup as
And
well.
then it's sort of local just because, but Kerchik is going against a guy named
So Kerchik is B team now, by the way.
oh, is he?
He's an instructor at B team.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah, so we were getting some clarification.
He left TLI.
Yeah, we didn't know if he was still TLI or not because he did an event recently where he still had the TLI.
He had both, yeah.
He had both. He is B team now. I got
Okay.
clarification. Actually, somebody gave me clarification in thinking about this. I
Okay.
actually don't know if they were a good source.
Well, it says B
but-
team now. It
Yeah,
says
he's B team now. He looked good. I'm excited to see kind of what Kieran looks like now
yeah,
at B team because he's been really good in the last couple of
and
years.
he's about to go against sort of a local regional Andrew Cockle.
Yeah.
Who Andrew Cockle?
We talked about him like 2 weeks ago on Fight to
Yeah,
Win. He was
he's-
he wasn't the main event, but he was up there on the card.
He has some crazy. I mean, he's a very good competitor. He has a lot of flying things. He has a lot of
Really good leg locks. Like
Yeah.
he's just solid everywhere. So I've commentated a couple of Cockles matches back when he was a brown belt. Probably 2018. I commentated a match versus Mateus Lutz when they were both brown belts.
AJ Agazarm got through.
Yeah, AJ looked good. So AJ, I saw AJ's match from across the mat. I forget what match it was for AJ, but dude is impossible to sub. The guy had his feet, was twisting his legs around.
Yeah.
AJ was just defending, and then it looked like a really close match, and then overtime hook.
He's been training a bunch with
Paulo
Meow-
with Meows.
the
Meow was coaching.
Yeah.
Paulo was coaching him.
Oh, okay. I saw Paulo there
Yep.
when I think about it.
And then overtime hits, and AJ Agazarm just goes, "Oh, better win," and then like takedown, overpass, and then finishes. But it was such a close match.
But I think
Up until that's how he plays.
But I think also AJ's at 77, and that's where he belongs. 'Cause
yeah,
he
I
was
think
doing
so.
a lot of like big like.
Well, he was
heavier
bouncing
weights.
around weights, and he was kind of doing
Yeah.
it. They kept putting him against Max Jimenez at super heavy because he would register for super heavy. But Agazarm continues to impress me because he just knows the rule set so well, and he'll like game you into overtime, and then he'll like beat you in overtime.
Yeah.
And it's a consistent strategy that he uses. If he's like, but he almost plays possum early in the match, and he kind of makes you really go
It's
after
either
him.
that or he's a slow starter. He could be a slow starter.
I don't know, but I've just watched him in the last couple of trials consistently do
But
this.
he's also been training for a million years, so you could.
He's about as veteran. I mean, again, silver medalist to what, 2017 or 2015?
I don't know. He's been a black belt for a long time.
He's been on the scene and at this level forever. It's interesting to see him coming back and doing trials because again, that's how he got the invite last time. Was he was like, look,
Yeah.
I'm a silver medalist. I want to do it. I want to show you I want to do it. I'm at trials.
He does a ton of IBJJFs too, because I kept on running into him whenever I did one.
He's still active,
Yeah.
and so on the other side of the bracket, Oliver Taza comes through. He goes against Josh Bacalao
Ooh.
next match, so that'll be fun.
So, back to Agazarm. If Agazarm wins his next match, he goes against the winner of Elijah Dorsey and Andrew Solano, which is going to be a freaking barn
Either
burner
one of those
match.
is a really fun matchup.
Yeah, Solano's a essential jiu-jitsu guy. Elijah is a TLI guy. Both are. Is he a black belt? I don't know if he is or not.
think
Elijah, I
so.
know, is a newer black belt.
Yeah.
Solano, I'm not quite sure if he is or not. It doesn't really matter, but 'cause
He's at that level. He's at that
a
level.
freaking beast.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be
Oh.
whoever wins that goes against Agazarm.
I saw a couple of Max Hansen matches. He
Okay.
looked good. He goes against, I think, Paul or Pete Grant tomorrow. And
Yeah,
somebody,
he's an essential guy too.
yeah, so somebody told me, hey, keep a look at him. Apparently that is a match to watch.
Okay.
So look at that match. It's match 1028 tomorrow on mat 4. So that will be a fun match. Agazarm is right next to them. He goes against either Elijah Dorsey or Solano. John Blank also got through his entire day in what? A minute?
Yeah.
Plus something like that?
Some ridiculous.
And he's at 77, and he looks comfortable at 77. He hit a super gross heel hook in one of his matches. I think in his round of 64 match.
Oh yeah, you showed me that picture.
I said where the heel's just like the wrong way, and it's like, dude, he inverts under it's funny because Blank was 88 for a while. He was always like a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And he was super powerful
But
at 88.
I swear, at 88, he was probably a little 88.
He was a little
Like
88.
I don't think he was cutting to make 88. I think he was just not cutting to make 77.
I remember he was super strong at 80. Even at 88, like he got Rustam's leg at ADCC 2019 and like Rustam Chiziev and like got his leg and tapped him really quickly. And that was sort of what Blank was doing. If Blank can get to your leg, he had a super powerful heel hook. And at 77, that looks to be the same thing. Like the power he had in that match to invert, come under, and then boot and get into the leg so quickly. I want to see if the move to 77 potentially is he looks like he's definitely smaller. Like he's making less of a cut to get here. He's lost a lot of like mass, but he looks really good at 77.
But if you do it correctly, I mean, you can.
And it looks like he did it correctly. Like I'm really impressed with a couple, like the minute plus I saw of Blank in the two matches. Looks good, and 77 looks like a really good move for him. That's all I have for 77. Yeah. We're missing we're skipping through a ton of guys, but again, we pared down 256 to 32. Yeah. So we lost 220 guys today. I think most people made weight. I only heard about a couple people that missed weight. Overall, I think the day before weigh-ins is a really good move.
Well, because then you can still weigh in day of in the event that everything goes
you can do either.
Yeah.
But I mean, that weigh-in line last night was what?
It was an hour long at least.
It was at least an hour. We were, and there were people behind us when we weighed in as well. So
I jumped in. I just became part of the line.
But it's good. So I'm also curious how much better cardio guys have not cutting so much day up.
Maybe that's also a good reason why we're having better matches this year.
I don't know. I think
not,
overall,
like, dehydrated as fuck.
Whatever ADCC is doing for this event, like it's correct. I hope we see very similar West Coast trials because everyone looks like ready to go, good. We're not seeing people we're seeing a couple people gas here and there. As we move into 88, we'll talk about some of it, but the guys at 66, 77 looked super solid. Let's see. J-Rod Rodriguez, 88 kilograms, moves on. Yeah, looks good. I was Matt's side for his first or second round. I'm not sure. They're both about a little over 2 minutes. What are you going to say? He's a super solid wrestler. He's amazingly hard to put away, and he can get your back, and he can choke you, or he can armbar you. J-Rod moves on. I'm again impressed with his performance. He does get a bye again as a former trials winner, but I like to see former trials winners coming back and doing trials again because it shows that they want that slot for the world championships. So,
and we're in 88 right now, right?
Yeah, I moved to 88.
So we did have the loss. The one. This is the only. There's 2 losses in this division that were kind of surprising. Mm-hmm. And it was Achilles Rocha.
Yeah.
Or Hosha. Lost against Nassim Al-Saudi.
So I watched his match from across the match, and I was Achilles up, and I watched the whole thing. I am super impressed with Nassim. Like he looked amazing in this match. I couldn't also tell because I was a bit far away. Like Achilles maybe looked a little off as well. It wasn't the same like level of activity I've seen from Achilles, but I was really impressed with his opponent. Like in the wrestling, he was up with Achilles. He almost knee bars Achilles. He hits a really deep knee bar while Achilles is just crushing this topside toe hold. And I was like, oh, somebody's going to break in this. Yeah. Both of them were fine after, but it was a dueling knee bar versus toe hold match for a bit of it in this one exchange, but he doesn't tap and then eventually gets Achilles back and finishes him. And that was, I think, a big upset. I think a lot of people really expected Achilles in day 2, if not in like 16 or 8.
Yeah.
That being said, Jasmine Hosha, Achilles' sister, again, just went against Fionn and is very highly world ranked. Finished a toe hold in like 20 seconds. Yeah.
I didn't realize that B. Silva is Benji Silva.
Dude, Benji Silva looked good. I watched a couple of matches. His first match went to time.
So Benji Silva is who tomorrow goes against Nassim.
Oh, really?
That's his
That will be a fun match. Benji's taken he's looked dominant. He's outscored guys and he's played a really, really heavy top game this entire that's sort of what his game plays. But he has troubled guys. Yeah. And they've tried to get him moving, not moving, like, but he just can he can put you down. He can score on you. And that's honestly not a lot of guys can consistently score in the rule set. Silva's taken 2 scores leading up to that. So that'll be fun to see him against Nassim coming in. Again, keep an eye on that guy because he looks like a UAE JJF guy because he had the UAE JJF rash guard.
He's Canadian. From what I can look, he's Canadian.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's Canadian. He's a data scientist from Canada.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I can find on him. He's a brown belt.
Dude, he impressed the shit out of me. That is one of the guys. That's one of the reasons I love trials.
He did finishers. He did the most recent finishers, and besides that, I can't really see anything besides like locals that he's done a lot of. But I could be completely wrong with that. That was my my abilities to look.
We had Sean Yanamarco moving on as well.
Yeah,
he had 2 matches. First one went score. Second one is a really quick sub. So he's moving on to the round of 32.
Jacob Couch moves on.
He again hit his first match was a little longer. He gets a sub, and then his second match, he was 2 matches down from me. I was Matt's side. And he gets on the mat. I was like, oh, I'm going to watch his match. But I think him, Rao, and J-Rod were going at the same time. Yeah. And then I looked over at either Garmo's match or somebody else's match. And then looked over again. And it was another match happening. I went, well, I assume Couch won. But I have no idea why. And someone behind me went, yeah, it was like a really quick outside heel hook.
It looks like David Garmo is going against a training partner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's David Garmo versus H. Zachary. And they both say AJJ after their names. It's American Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know if that's...
I thought Garmo was Detroit Jiu-Jitsu.
I thought he was too.
Huh.
That's what this says at least. I don't know.
Interesting.
But William Tackett is through.
Dude, I love, just aside here, I love being at the event and seeing all the athletes, and you get to see the guys that have the fan base built in.
Yeah.
I've watched so many people walk up to Jacob Couch, and like, huge fan. Like, I think him and Nicky Rod are the 2 guys that I've seen get walked up to the most, and guys are like, huge fan. And it's been like really kind of, you see, every time they smile and they're super happy to see it. It's been very nice.
Yeah.
What were you saying? You had a question for me?
Nothing. No, William Tackett.
William Tackett has looked amazing in this. He gets a sub in his first round of 128. He beats Chris Shangoli, Pat's dad, in the round of 64. Both matches, man, his wrestling, like, he looks great going into this tournament. He looks like we expected him to look, or his brother to look, in this at 88 now. Like,
we in this division we have winning his matches and getting through is Sloan Clymer. He was the one gentleman that I did see go onto the mats today. He was the only gentleman I saw go onto the mats today. But it's Sloan Clymer, so
it's Sloan.
Are you really gonna stop him?
I'm not gonna say something, but he's 88, which has been funny.
Yeah,
like because he historically has been bigger, and he cut down now to 88.
Well, he had a guy
really
in 99 that he was coaching.
Yeah, I remember saw that. He's coaching a couple of guys. Like I think he's one of the primary guys for Legion. We saw him coaching.
Coaching that was the match where he got onto the mats. It was when he was coaching Grout.
The Grout, yeah.
Yeah. No, not Doug Grout. Just Grout. Baylor
Grout.
Yeah.
That was a fun match. He went against a B team guy. We'll get to that match. He went against a B team guy that really impressed me earlier, and had an amazing Darce game.
Maine goes, watch this guy. He's really good. And I go, he's going against
Baylor Grout.
Like
the Legion guy that Darces everyone.
The Legion guy. And he was like, oh.
But again, so I'm still keeping an eye on him because I was really impressed with his earlier matches. And then you run into a guy like Baylor, that's kind of what happens at the trials. Before we get into that, let's finish up 88.
Elder
Cruz, Placado Santos, Jason Rao all move through. I didn't see any of Santos's matches, and I'm really curious. I want to see next because he's now at 88. He's not at 77 anymore, and so I think that I'm curious to see if his game's going to change.
Yeah.
Being at 88 versus 77, because Santos, I know he always had to cut way more than I thought he had to cut when going to 77. And I'm curious if he's now filled at 88 because he looked like he would get a little tired at 77. Like notably that Cody Steele match where Steele's just like pace as a weapon. I'm curious if at 88 and with day before weigh-ins now, if he's going to be like that's just not going to be an issue at all anymore. But he's also a guy that would look exhausted but not really change his pace too much. But it seemed like you could like push him into areas where he would be a little slower. So I think him moving on to the day 2, obviously, like 88's probably been a good move for him. Clay Mansfield moves on as well. Anyone else in big? Oh, Ryan Akin and Quentin Rosenwig is also a first round for round of 32 tomorrow in 88 kilograms. Quentin actually took a really quick sub over Cameron Hurd, a guy that I've done a lot of commentary for Copa Maryland, Copa Elite, and I was really excited about that match.
Yeah,
and
he's the one of our friends went against a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I remember it being like, who is this guy? Because his wrestling is freaking
He's a
legit.
Virginia Tech wrestler who's really good.
He was.
He was. Yeah. Quentin has been just moving through guys quickly. I think in his round of 128, he has a 45-second sub. In versus Cameron, he has a 25-second sub. Like, he has been just on it and moving through guys really quickly. I'm curious how he's going to look versus Akin, because Ryan had a really tough match in his round of 64. He wins it by score, but at the beginning of that match, the non-scoring part of that match, he really had to sort of change the momentum of the match and kind of not come from behind because it was a non-scoring, but he had to sort of put the match back in the gear that he wanted to be able to take it. So him versus Quentin will be fun because Quentin has just been like real quick. And again, whoever gets through there potentially is going to go against Sloan Clymer. Yeah. If Sloan Clymer makes it through, Hadiad. I don't have the full name. I apologize. I recognize S. Clymer. Yeah. So but that'll be a crazy round of 16 with whoever ends up there versus Clymer. I don't really have a ton left for, again, all your big names, really aside from Achilles Rocha, are moving on in 88.
Yeah, Mike Crisp was the only other one.
Oh, yeah.
He was...
I saw him. He got ring choked, I think.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised by that because...
I wonder if also that is partially the time change. Because he's coming from Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah. He's like Canada, but he's like that side of Canada.
But he competed late, though.
True.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Maybe not.
He didn't have the same pace that he had at West Coast Trials, and I don't know because I was really impressed with him last West Coast Trials, and I was like, oh, he's a guy to keep on the radar. We haven't seen him compete a ton since then, but he was... Yeah,
he did submission on the... sub-only series?
Sub-only series. Yes, sub-only series. And he was another guy that I was kind of not favoriting to win, but favoriting to like move on and like take out some guys again. So it was really interesting to see him kind of get taken out in the earlier rounds because he was a guy that I'm really hot on because I was so impressed with his game at West Coast Trials. So that's 88 kilograms. Let's move on to the men's under 99 kilograms. Much smaller division. We had a lot of buys going into this one and the men's plus 99 division. Paul Ardilla looks like he is on pace to potentially take this. Adam Bradley's still in this division.
Yeah.
Michael Pixley's still in this division. Brian Guevara from Standard Jiu-Jitsu is still in this division. He had a quick sub in his round of 64, 2 minutes, just a little over 2 minutes. He's also been doing a ton of opens, and he's a guy that he's a guy that I'm really hot on because I've commentated some of his matches, and we've seen him locally for a while. I think he's won a couple of the Copa Series events, Copa Virginia and Copa Maryland, the cash prize divisions.
Dude, what's up with this one guy? His name is Jay.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Just the letter J.
I think he goes against Elliot Kelly tomorrow. But again, he's registered in Flow as just J. Dot. So it's like, that's why I wish that Flow Arena.
Who is J. Dot?
I wish honestly they use Smooth Comp because Smooth Comp just gives you the whole names, make clickable profiles for everyone. But this one, I'm looking at a guy in the bracket that's just J. Like, I have no idea who that is. Devontae Johnson moves on as well in this bracket.
I kind of caught his matches from afar, but not close enough.
Mike Rockshon moves on as well.
Kyle Dawkins
moved on too. Yeah. We were kind of curious how he would do. I actually didn't see his matches, but he had a quick sub, like a minute and 45 seconds in his first round of 64, which is he got a buy into round of 64, and then again moves right into round of 32 tomorrow with that one sub. Let's see. Kevin Burbrich versus Jared Cropshot is tomorrow as well. First round of 32.
Burbrich is the one that we were like, he's a lot bigger than we thought he was.
Yeah. Again, I always, for some reason, I don't know. And there's
certain people that we always expect to be bigger and smaller.
I always think he's a 55er, and then I see him like, oh no, you're under 99. You're cutting to under 99.
I think because of his game.
Yeah,
Because he
maybe.
plays like almost a smaller man game
Yes.
that you just expect him to be a smaller man.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to him.
No, I mean he's good. You move on to day 2. Like that speaks to, we know who you are and you move on to day 2. I just always forget the actual size, how big you are. Other than that, like really, the front runners in this one are Ardilla. Adam Bradley still in the division. Pixley, like that'll be an interesting.
Adam Bradley, I keep on seeing randomly getting sushi.
Mm-hmm.
He was last night. He was getting sushi when we were eating sushi, and today when we walked by, he was once again.
Well, because the sushi place is like the closest place. As soon as you exit the mat, like the area where the venue is,
and it's relatively like healthy when you think about it. Sushi,
but it's like right there, and so you see, everyone has to walk by the sushi place, and so you constantly see like that competitor, that competitor, that competitor. Like, don't be weird, man. Just walk by, continue your day. But we're going to see potentially him and Pixley go against it if they both make it through. And then Guevara and actually Guevara's on the other side of the bracket. So again, under 99 is still kind of up in the air. All the guys really only had, most of them that moved through only had one match today. Yeah. So it's like we just didn't, it was a pretty quick, guys came on, they did their thing for a couple minutes. And then I'm kind of curious if that makes it easier or hard. I think it would make it easier where it's like you have less matches today, but versus like maybe you kind of just had one and you didn't get a chance to warm up all the way. Yeah. But I figure, again, having like 3 or 4 matches and then having 3 or 4 matches the following day is a much harder way to do it. Yeah. So we went to plus 99. Again, a lot of your front runners, all of your big guys, your big 4, got buys. Mario got a buy. Big Dan got a buy. John Hansen got a buy. And who's the 4th guy that got a buy? Damon Ramos. Yeah. Got a buy. We know those guys,
For what, plus 99?
Plus 99.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what's it called? Got it. You said
Pat Shangoli got a buy as well. Again, most of your big name guys got a buy. Amir Alam moves on. He took out a buddy of ours from Nova Menta. Yeah. And he moves on as well. We talked about him on Quintet, where it was like, I don't really see him competing a ton. It's cool to see him at trials. Yeah. It's cool to see him like showcasing more of his game, because he's just not a guy that I see on that circuit, super frequently. And he's a good black belt, so it's cool to see him out here at trials after his Quintet performance. Let's see. Yeah, Damon Ramos had the bye going in. There were not a lot of matches at plus 9. Again, it's the smallest men's division by a pretty decent margin. So they were pretty quick.
Where is he? This one guy.
This is going
to be very specific to us locally, but he's in the next round. Malo Beta Academy. Mm-hmm. Was he the MMA fighter? No, that was Mello, right?
Mello, okay. I think so.
I was like, is that that MMA fighter?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he
not
is
who I thought
Beta
it.
Academy.
Not who I thought it was. Yeah. I was like, Mello was reffing one of my friend's matches, and I literally had to scream at him because he was not paying attention.
Different guy.
Different person.
Let's see. So yeah, again, it was 99 was quick, and most of your big name guys
are coming in. Coming in tomorrow.
Because again, it was you had a round of 64 that had most of those big guys had buys, and then on the first day you get pared down to 32 for all the men's divisions, and round of 16 for all the women's divisions. Yeah. So speaking of the women's divisions, let's move on to the professional women's divisions. This, again, is not, unfortunately, on a qualifier for the women. They need to qualify at West Coast Trials, but this is the first one we have that is at the 3 weight classes. Jasmine Hosha moves on, hits a really nice sub in literally it's listed as 21 seconds. Beautiful toe hold. She grabs it. She rolls to the next mat. She switches it to a heel hook, and that's the match. Again, she does really well at trials. She does really well in brackets like this. Yeah. We also have Sophia. Oh, wait, she's under 55 kilos?
Who?
Jasmine Hosha.
Yeah, she was under 55.
Oh, I didn't realize that. For some reason, I had her under 65.
No.
But she can cut the weight to make that make sense for some reason. I don't know why I had her at the wrong weight class.
She's a small woman.
Yeah, but still, I don't think she's 121 small.
Yeah, but the cut isn't that bad if it's 2 to 4.
I just realized I
cut
heard.
I cut it from like 35, so it's possible. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not fun. But her dad's Wagner Hosha. Could you imagine that fucker in the room with you as you're trying to cut weight and he's like screaming at you?
He's just motivating you. I feel like that would be a really motivating father. You're like you'll make the weight. Why? It's like come Wagner Hosha.
Yeah.
That's like no pressure.
But I bet you the conversation happens like between me and you were like, you have to get back in the tub, and I was like, fuck, I'm getting back in that tub.
Yeah.
I bet you
That's a different vibe.
It's a fun room to be in. Sofia Casella makes it through.
She had again another like a 11-second sub. Like we had a lot. This is a bracket we had a lot of really quick first round subs. This was not blowouts, but we had your world ranked folks.
Yeah.
It was you almost had a full bracket of 32. So a lot of the world ranked folks had a match in the first section.
Yeah.
They looked like they're world ranked and they are some of the best in the world. Very quick subs, very good performances.
Yeah.
Lauren Sears moves on as well in her first round, takes a sub in the first round. Let's see. Alex Enriquez moves on as well, hits a 1:02 sub in the first round to advance to the round of 16. Let's see who else. Again, I'm looking at last names and an abbreviation for a first name. I tend to know most of the women by their first names.
They were most of our knowns.
I think it's interesting
that
that Jasmine and Sophia are the quarterfinals match that they both make it through. That's really interesting. I also think it's really interesting that Jasmine Hosha is up against a fight sports competitor in the round of 16 this next round, Jay Johnson.
Yeah.
So that will be...
No, it's Fight Factory. It's not Fight Sports.
Oh, okay.
It's
Brazilian Fight Factory. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was Fight Sports.
Okay. It's kind of hard.
Well, again, we have Florina, which only shows you partial names and partial affiliations. Like 10th Planet is abbreviated to 10th PLA.
Yeah.
And so it's like, cool. If your name is longer than 8 characters, we only see part of it for the gym names. So that is women's 55 kilograms. Under 55 kilograms.
Under 65 kilograms is my division.
Your division.
My division.
Kravar moves on with, she has one match.
A triangle, a high triangle.
This was a really
lock.
neat setup because she locks in a high guard triangle. Sorry, a triangle from the high guard where it's like both arms are in and then she falls off to the side for the armbar but never unlocks the triangle. And I watched it with my wife over there who's got her headphones in. And she was like, look at that. She's locking it up without even like opening the legs to switch the arm out. She goes, she must have really long legs. And we've looked at her before and she's like, she has really long legs to be able to even do that. Really interesting sub that is uncommon, but very flexible. She moves on and really surprising to very few people, but super impressed, super neat sub to see at trials.
And then we had Trinity Pun.
Yep.
And I spoke about that wonderful flying armbar that she hits. That's pretty nasty. That I was very happy it wasn't my arm.
Yeah.
So
it was. I mean, it's literally what kind of like Mika hit on.
She
on PJ Barsh last week, but a little differently. She kind of opens up the
yeah.
leg side of the head so that, and she can still finish it over. Whereas Mika was like directly on the neck, but it's still, she throws it in kind of a similar way that Mika threw it at PJ. It's kind of what flying arm bars look like. Super impressive.
Yeah. So she's moving on. And
Mo Black is moving on.
Mo
I think.
Black is moving on. Yeah.
Yep. I unfortunately
Nicole
didn't see her
Matthew
match.
is moving on. Your wife told me that match was that she assaulted first chick she went against.
8-0. Really good score. The score goes to time, but Nicole Matthews has looked very, very good. Very good leg locker that we see on finishers pretty frequently. Sofia Delgado is also moving on.
I watched her go against like Jocelyn Letcher, I think. That was the match
from
I watched.
Team.
Yeah,
that was the score, and then she also gets a sub late into the match.
Yeah, who was I saw somebody. I think it was one of the 55, the small ladies. It was Molly Zabrowski.
Mm-hmm.
She she wound up losing her match, but she was like on this chick, and this chick was walking around with her, and
That's funny.
And she couldn't get her off, and like she couldn't slam her off because she wasn't really in
a sub. You're just in
she
a guard.
She was kind of holding her onto her, and like I was like, if I was in that situation, I don't know what I'd do. I might just start like trying to dance or something, because at that point, like, what do you
can't
do?
get the person off you. That's
like you're just and like, are you stalling? Because you're not really stalling. Like you're trying to do.
You're
something.
walking around.
Yeah. It it was interesting to watch.
ADCC, you get interesting matches like that where it's like, can I do this? Can I not do this?
Like,
Is this allowed?
What
So again, women's matches, we only had a few of them in the round of 64, into the round of 32. We are now into the round of 16 tomorrow.
Ashlyn O'Connell moves on too.
Yeah.
She's who took me out of West Coast Trials. She's a beast.
She's very, very good.
She's a beast.
There's, again, most of the big names here are quarterfinals, or really most of the big names are going to meet at semifinals.
Yeah.
For women's division. I think this division has the big names meet one more rung down in the bracket than most of the other divisions, interestingly enough. And then let's move on to the women's plus 65 kilogram division. Getting buys in this division are Big Bird, Brittany Elkin, Amanda Leve gets a buy. Now, they are going to meet potentially if they both make it through at the semifinals. Caitlin, is it Catherine Peak or Caitlin Peak? Like second place or third place?
I think it's Catherine Peak.
She gets a bye into this. Caitlin Chikagian did win her first match. Peak had a buy into this. Yeah, Caitlin Chikagian won her first match by sub, so she moves on. Potentially, if Peak gets through her next match and Chikagian gets through her next match, they will meet in the quarterfinals. That would be a really interesting match between the two of them. And then Bridget McLeese also gets a bye going into the round of 16 here for the women.
She's a Henzo Gracie New York competitor.
And I'm blanking on the last time we've covered her, like when we've talked about her.
She's done a bunch of tournaments. She has a bunch of like local stuff. She does a bunch of like that stout fights that's out in
in
Pittsburgh
Philly or Pittsburgh. Yeah,
she does. I mean, she definitely does a lot. She keeps moving. I've seen her at a bunch of IBJJFs.
So again, reasonable for her to get a bye going into the round of 16. But again, we didn't see Elkin. We didn't see Amanda. We didn't see a lot of the big names in under plus 65 kilos because they had buys into day 2.
And we had Marissa Pacelli move on. She went against John Hansen's wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Marissa's really good at arm bars. Like super amazing good at arm bars. But she moves through, which is pretty.
Yeah.
We
also have Laura Kent and John Thor's girlfriend. Wife.
They just got married in like Barbados or Jamaica
or
somewhere. They had a wedding like outside the United States.
That's awesome.
I remember seeing pictures.
She's gonna go against Elkin, potentially Brittany.
Which is crazy because Elkin is who is a training partner for regularly.
Which I think is really big. Again, the quarterfinals, that's kind of when training partners start to meet each other. But it'll be interesting because they have again very similar builds, but very different games. But you've been in the room with someone, because I think Brittany primarily trains at 10th Planet Bethlehem. I think Laura is primarily at Allentown.
Yeah, she is.
Is not at Finishers because they own it. Yeah, which makes sense. But again, you probably spend a lot of time in between.
Oh no, they're
all the
training
gyms.
partners. They train all the time together because I've seen pictures of them.
I'm really curious for that match because I love a good training partner ADCC match because you just see, like, I always point to Hinger and Ty.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh, this is, you guys have like innate knowledge of, or like Ty and his brother Cade. Like at Worlds at Brown Belt. Like they have this weird innate understanding of the other person's game, and it just leads to these really weird matches that no one else can put them in. So those are always exciting matches for me. Again, unfortunate, you got to fight your teammate, but it is trials. You're looking to get your bid into West Coast trials. It makes sense. So that's what I got. Any other thoughts on this weekend for the event?
It was it's been very well run. It's been moving pretty fast. It was earlier than we expected, which was nice. I didn't expect it, or they initially had said that my bracket wasn't going to go until like 6:30 at night, and it definitely went around 4:30, which is 2 hours early.
Is phenomenal. Because then we got we're doing the podcast right now. It's 9 p.m. right now.
Yeah, which we normally do this shit at like midnight, and
we're usually starting at like. If a good day, we're starting at 10:45.
Yeah.
On a good like event finishing for a major like this. So the fact that we got to start the podcast at like 8 is just a joy because we're gonna all finish the podcast. I'm gonna edit it, export it, and then we're going to go to dinner. and then not completely screw up my sleep schedule.
Yeah.
Which is such a much nicer way to do it. So ADCC, big thanks to you guys for organizing it like this, because I'm going to get some great interviews tomorrow and not just be sleep deprived in doing that.
Because we need to hit match number 1 because it's Krellenstein.
I'm so excited for that.
Krellenstein, right?
Krellenstein. Ethan Krellenstein.
Yeah. I always try to make it a Stein instead of a Stin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we if there's anything we do with striking regularity, it is butcher these names. So if you want, there's folks you're looking to have me interview, let me know. I've got a big list. I've already touched base with a lot of the athletes that I would like to talk to.
If you're at ADCC and we're butchering your name, come up to us and tell us.
Please let me know. Also, if you're at ADCC and you run into me and you see me, I have a big-ass bag of stickers that I would love to hand you as a thank you for listening to the show. I forgot about, they were in my bag all day. I didn't remember them at all. But if you see me and you want a sticker, be like, hey, man, can I get a sticker? And I will happily give you a sticker. Appreciate the support. Love that you're out here. Love that you listen to the show. And, I can't wait for day 2. We are going to do a recap show probably the Sunday or Monday for regular. That will probably be the regular podcast day because I have to get all this stuff out of the room.
Probably the Monday because Sunday is... We have to leave this place and drive home.
Yeah, no, it's not Sunday.
So it's not going to be.
So we'll do a regular podcast, but this will be. We want to do a day 1 because I like doing day 1s because it makes me think about and look at the event, and they're just fun to do live. So, Miranda, you got anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Right, as always on the show, I'm your host, Maine. So co-host
Miranda.
We have the Grappling Rewind to the map. Wherever it is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.